offensive coach, pretty much every kind of coach you could get. Coach, thanks for joining us today, my friend.
Hey, Ken, thanks for having me. This is really a pleasure and an honor.
Man, I honored that you're here. Take a minute, tell everybody a little bit about, it's been a couple of years since you've been in the NFL coaching. Tell everybody a little bit, what have you got going on now? What's going on in the life of Hugh Jackson?
Well, since I was let go at Cleveland, I had to go find my way, per se. And you deal with the mental side of that first and foremost, being let go. And then you kind of rebuild yourself. I was trying to find different ways to grow me as a person, first and foremost. I was introduced to a guy by the name of Grant Cardone, who you know. And Grant really showed me some things to do from a financial standpoint, first and foremost. And I wanted to make sure I got that part of it right. When you have friends and families and people that you can influence, you want to make sure you have all those answers lined up right. I then got involved in a tequila brand called Grand Leanda Tequila. It's organic, 100% USDA organic tequila. Very excited about what we're doing in that space. But my heart has been my foundation, the Hugh Jackson Foundation, which deals with human trafficking. We also have a little deal that's called Strangers to Changers, where we try to impact communities and make a huge difference that way, trying to really get communities to really be accountable to themselves and really raise their vibration level in their space so that everybody can be better, especially with this pandemic and all the social injustice that's been going on in the world.
So one thing we didn't talk about off air, out of the past 25 years, I spent half of that in full-time vocational ministry, pastoring churches, planting churches. Dude, I coach people for a living. It's what I do. I don't normally read up on people before I have guests because it flows better.
Right.
But I Googled and I read an SI article today from right after you got let go from Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, number one, my heart went out to you. And number two, being a coach myself, a pastor, a coach, author, speaker, you talked to us a minute ago about trying to find your way when you left Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I mentioned you earlier, David Pollock's one of my really, really good friends. Several guys, Peerless plays on my men's league basketball team. Smoltzy played on my men's league. So I've got athletes that are friends, at the highest of levels.
Mm-hmm.
What was that journey like for you? Like you're one of the first African-American head coaches. And I love to talk about where we're at as a country as well while we're here today. You lose your job. You're trying to, one of the things I read in that article today was you went downstairs and you just locked yourself away for 24 hours or whatever. You said it could have been 3 weeks or 3 months or whatever. Talk to me about the journey in you trying to discover who Hugh Jackson was. You had succeeded at the highest level of the probably the most well-known professional sport in America, obviously. And then here you are, jobless. They're saying things about you. What was that journey like to come back from that?
Well, Ken, you just said it because it was dark. When you start this process, in the 100-year history of the National Football League, there's only been 18 minority head coaches. And I've been fortunate enough to do it twice, with the Oakland Raiders and the Cleveland Browns. And I'd never been fired during the season ever in my career. So there was a lot of firsts for me. And so when that happened and you don't understand why, you really get kind of lost. You've given your life and your soul to football, and now it's taken away in my mind, for a reason that I had no control over. So you feel kind of lost a little bit. So I did. I went downstairs in my basement in Cleveland at the time. I spent 3 days down there, and did a lot of soul searching, and you find out about yourself and who you are, the things that all of a sudden I learned that my value was probably in the football. I was valuing who I was as a person and was built on football, and that wasn't true. And I had to reprogram my thought process about who I was. And while you're down there, the devil, as you know, he puts a whole bunch of things in your head. He sits on your shoulder and go, that's not what it is, it's this. No, it's not that, it's this. And if you don't have a strong enough foundation, it can get you. And I was fortunate enough to have some real prayer warriors and some real friends who wouldn't let me just hang up on them. And I wanted to, and I did several times, and kept calling back, saying, you need to do this. You need to move forward. You need to move on and get back to the things you need to do. And I didn't want to hear that for the first couple of days. By day 3, that resistance had broken down. And I started to find myself a little bit, but I was in depression. I'll be the first to tell you that. I'm not ashamed to say that, because I didn't understand. And it was, when you put your heart and soul into something and it goes the other way, you don't know how to deal with that. I mean, it doesn't come with book or tapes on how to fix this. Right. You got to figure it out. And so I had to figure it out. And I was fortunate enough to get it figured out sooner rather than later.
So I know mindset, we talk a lot about in Growth Stack Drive, we talk about mindset, strategy, leadership development. On the mindset side, we talk a lot, and I teach a lot on limiting belief systems. And limiting belief systems, literally the definition is it's something that causes us not to see the potential or hope for our very own future. And so we talk about fear, scarcity, comparison, even success as a limited belief system. Walk me through, because mindset's not, you're not teaching mindset per se as an NFL coach. You're talking about X's and O's and busting your ass and doing the things you got to do. Well, here you are faced with a situation you never thought you would be in.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about the importance and maybe some specific things you learned when it comes to mindset in limited belief systems, some things that you had to overcome on that journey back to where you are today.
The biggest thing I learned, Ken, was self-talk. You needed to talk to self, because there is a war that is going on at that particular time between you and you. And people have to understand that. And you have to overcome that because of what you just said. You would limit yourself if you listen to some of the things that maybe outside people are saying, the newspaper's saying, and your own self, because your own self starts to doubt about, why did this happen like this? And so the self-talk about who you were and who you are and what you want to become and where you're going to go is real. And it does change your mindset. You really do have to every day have a plan how to walk through that, and it's not easy. It's a bumpy road as you go through it. It's just not straight. Some people think it doesn't go straight, and for 4 hours, you might be feeling good. And for the next 30 minutes, you might feel like crap. And you got to get yourself out of that and get back up and keep going. But it's really spiritual, and it's really getting inside of who you are as a person and truly understanding how to do that, how to really recover the old you, the you that made you who you were, because football didn't make me, I made football. I'm the one that earned the job, so at the same time, you forget that when you're really into it. And I've been doing it for 32 years. You forget that's what it really was. And so you have to really go back and connect the dots the right way. And then you're able to get up and keep moving forward.
I love you said self-talk, and you don't know this, but we're actually in the middle on our Growth Stack Drive online coaching. We've got several dozen people in our online coaching program. We're in day 3 of a 14-day affirmation challenge. So one of the things we do on the limited beliefs is we talk about identify, removing, and replacing. We identify that limited belief system of comparison or scarcity or fear, and then what we do is we remove that. And the way we do that is daily affirmations. Like, so on comparison, hey, I choose not to compete against the person that I'm staring at. I choose to compete with myself. So those are really daily affirmations. And what that is you said it just a minute ago, your biggest battle is you. I love Dave Ramsey says this all the time. He goes, man, my biggest enemy is the guy I shave with in the mirror every day. Right? But it really is that battle inside of your own head. And obviously you've learned a ton. Talk to me about transferable principles in that mindset and really conquering some of the you versus you. Talk about some of the transferable principles you learned and applied in your nonprofit and even in your business ventures from that coach.
I think what I've learned is that how I've been able to move things forward is first surround yourself with the right people. The right people is so key to any and everything that you want to do. People have to be collaborative, but you got to be aligned correctly in order to even have a chance at success. What I've learned through it all, if I have a vision for something I want, but somebody else has a different vision, it probably is not going to work out. It just doesn't work out that way. And it doesn't mean the person has to be just like me. That's not what I'm saying, but we have to have the same vision for what it is we're trying to accomplish. It doesn't mean you can't challenge me on something and I can't challenge you, but we got to be after the same result. And so I started to get rid of all the things that were negative in my life. any way, shape, or form, whether it's people who called, who had a suggestion, you should do this, do that. I just started to eliminate my circle and make my circle a lot tighter. And you try to, you start to find out, and people will be surprised. Sometimes it can even be your family that is limiting you from moving forward. So get rid of all the baggage that may drag you down. And I've learned that in my foundation, I've learned that in my business with the tequila, it had really, really fits there too. Anybody who is not in it for what we're in it for, we have to get rid of those people. And sometimes those are tough decisions to make, but it's the right decision in order so that you can continue to move forward. And it probably helped that particular person understand that maybe they're coming about it a different way, you know. And I can't say it enough that the self-talk, the mental makeup of you really understanding what it is you want and how you want it, it is so important to your future. And you got to trust you. That's the biggest thing I've learned. Trust you. Don't trust everybody else. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody wants to surround themselves with smarter, more productive people. We all want that. But at the end of the day, you have to look in the mirror at you. So you got to be able to trust your instincts and the things you believe in. I can't be somebody else. I got to be me. And I think those things are so important in life.
One of the things you said in there, in that article that I read, and you just said it again, when you gave over the offensive play call duties to one of the other coaches, you said in there, I wish I would have trusted myself.
Yes.
Boy, what a life lesson right there.
Yes.
I wish I would have trusted myself.
Can it hit me in my face? It still does, because I didn't trust myself. We wasn't playing very good for 2 years, regardless of what the reasons were. I was calling the plays, and then all of a sudden it was like you were looking for an answer from somewhere else other than myself. I earned a job because of my ability to call plays and develop game plans and do those things. And for a second there, maybe I lost that confidence. I let what was happening that I didn't have control of influence a major decision that I had to make. And I think I made it for the wrong reasons. And I look back on that and I will never forget that. And I'll never make that mistake again. I'm going to trust me.
That's amazing. One of my mentors, Coach Michael Burt's, one of the top business coaches in America. Coach Burt says all the time, he goes, Ken, you got to bet on you. You got to bet on Ken. If you're going to bet, you got to bet on you. Yes. Because it causes us to act and live life at such a high level of passion, because it's like, hey baby, if I'm gonna be all in, I'm gonna be all in on Ken Joslin. I'm gonna be all in on Coach Hugh Jackson. Like, absolutely. If I'm gonna be all in, baby, I'm gonna be all in. You said just a minute ago, you said surround yourself with the right people. You said I'm in that basement for 2 days. I'm even tell some people, man, don't talk to me, don't call me. But there was a small circle of people who kept on. Who said, Coach, man, I believe in you. Coach, you're my friend. You're better than this. We got this. I'm here for you. Talk about walking through that season of darkness and difficulty, how that strengthened and deepened some of those relationships with some of those people that were there for you.
It sure did, because the people that didn't stop calling, I knew that they were truly in my corner. The biggest call I had, Ken, and people might not understand this, was from Al Davis, who was dead. Al Davis has passed on. He was like my mentor. I was laying in bed that third day, and he goes, in my head, he said, Hugh, get up. This is not who you are. He goes, you know, I believed in you more than anybody. Get up and get back to doing what you know you should be doing. And it was really amazing. Within 2 hours of that time, Marvin Lewis called probably for the 20th time and said, Hugh, I need you to come down here to Cincinnati and be with me and help me finish this season. And it was just amazing how that process worked, you know. And again, I think it was God the whole way, but it was something that he needed me to learn in this whole process. And I thought I did. And it was that the people who really you can count on, they will stay with you. You might tell them to go away. They're not going away. They know that you need them. They're going to be with you through it all, through the good, through the bad, through the whatever. And I think that's so important for people to recognize, because there's a lot of people that hang on when things are going well, you know, but when they start to go bad, boy, people will scatter in a heartbeat.
They did it with Jesus.
That's right.
It went bad, son, and they were gone. He had 12, he had 3, and he had 1. There was only one that followed him all the way to the cross. So walking through those situations and seeing those relationships deepen and strengthen. I love what you said about Al Davis. I heard him, hey, I believed in you.
Mm-hmm.
You said, I think earlier you said you were one of 18 minority head coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So now I grew up in Pontiac. I grew up in the hood. I ain't gonna lie. I grew up in the hood in Pontiac, but I'm a white conservative guy who votes Republican my whole life, whose
mm-hmm.
daughter is engaged to an African-American guy, and they're getting married in January. I love him, dude. And my thing is, as long as he loves Jesus, as long as he loves you, I don't care what he looks like. I don't care what color he is. But for the 52-year-old average white, a conservative American out there, Coach, what am I missing? What am I not seeing? What do I need to hear?
Ken, it's not just me knowing you and knowing of you a little bit. I don't think you're not seeing and not hearing. I think what people have to do, though, in that process is listen, because our starting point, that being minority starting point, is a lot different than our Caucasian brother's starting point. And that's what it is. And I think sometimes people forget that. We all are created equal, but I think our starting points were really different, and so people just have to be willing to listen to where another person's coming from. And it could be one of my Caucasian brothers coming at me from a different standpoint about something that's important to him, because that happens too. And I do respect that. But the minorities have been, in a situation where they've had it stacked against them a lot. And so, like I said, when I talked to you just then about the 100-year history of the league, 100 years football's gone on, there's only been 18 minority head coaches in the history of the league. So that tells you there's a problem. So in order to understand that problem, just like it is to understand any problem, I think people look for solutions way too fast. You got to ask the right questions in order to get the solutions. And I think people just, here's the question and everybody wants to solve it right away. I like, in these situations, let's have deep digging conversations. Let's ask the right questions. Let's understand where we all are coming from before we try to solve the problem. And then let's solve the problem. And I think if people look at it from that standpoint, just to be able to hear and not react right away, just hear what the person is saying, I think we can get to a better place.
And our climate right now is so charged. It's so like, you can't, even so I was on the way to the beach with my daughter, with my family, my daughter, my son-in-law came, or my future son-in-law came with us. And I was going to post it on social media. Dude, it took me an hour and a half to post 3 or 4 paragraphs. Because I'm like, how do I say this? Like, how do I say this? And this come up? Because we're on the way down there. And I'm thinking now, okay, I've got tons of Black friends. I grew up in the hood in Pontiac. Right. But now my grandchildren, it changed the perspective for me in a heartbeat. Like, oh, hang on just a minute now. Chasen, what's it like growing up in Birmingham, Alabama as a young Black guy? What's that going to be like for my grandchildren who are going to be mixed? Coach, what are maybe some of the right questions people in my community need to be asking, African-American friends and coworkers? Like, what are some of the questions that we might need to ask?
How can I help? How can I help? Just what you asked me a second ago, what is it that I don't know? I don't think that minorities are afraid to say where they come from, what they've done, what they've experienced. I think they get afraid if they feel like they're going to be judged. You're going to judge me differently if I tell you I lived above a church when I was younger and the junkyard was right next door to me. You're going to see me as not very intelligent. Boy, I didn't get a good education. I didn't have certain things. And that might not be the case. That might have been what it was back then. What I am today is totally different. So don't judge me by what you think you know. Judge me by who I am today. And that's when we can have real conversations. I truly believe that. But I think people do get judged falsely too soon because maybe the way they talk, the way they dress, the way they act. I think that's very unfair.
So what level do those conversations? Is that a community level? Is that a church level? Is that a one-on-one level? Like you and I getting together and having a conversation today? Like Well, so you said this a minute ago. You said we look for solutions too fast. I'm a solution guy. I'm like, man, let me fix it. Let's. I'm a fixer.
Yeah.
Like I want to fix it. Like, what do we got to do to fix it?
I've been that way my whole life, and this has never been fixed. So I think it's not one-on-one. I think it needs to be a very powerful setting of people. And I think the world needs to be able to see that and hear that and experience that and be able to take that in and see what that looks like for a group of Caucasian people with a group of minority people sitting on the other side, having real-time conversations about real life issues. Then we will make a change, because that doesn't really happen. We say we want to make change. We want to do better. We don't do better. We just talk about it. Then it disappears. It goes away, until the next situation.
Election cycle.
Okay.
or the next George Floyd, or
there you go.
Yeah.
Then we'll do something, but nothing changes. So that's what's hard right now.
So, again, I look for solutions, and maybe it is, you said earlier, surround yourself with the right people. Man, there's such an angst. I'm sitting here with tears in my eyes right now, listening to you talk. There's such an angst of, can we move past the election already? Can we do whatever we're going to do, for goodness sake? And man, can we just break bread together and talk about, hey, coach, what can I do to help your family? What can I do to help your nonprofit? What can I, what can I do? Does that make sense? Are you hearing my heart on that?
I hear you loud and clear. And I know that comes from your heart. You're being very transparent in saying that to me. A lot of people can't be transparent that way. And that's because I think I don't really know that answer. I think there's a fear that if I really let you in, are you going to hurt me? Are you going to take something from me? Or are you going to, cause me issues? It's just like the issue in the National Football League. I've watched more minority men not say how they really feel, afraid that they may lose their job, lose their value. So it keeps on keeping on. The same things keep on happening. Well, you're not going to change anything that way. And I don't think everybody's got to go fall on the sword for everybody. I don't think it needs to be that way. I just think when you get the right people together to have the right conversations, who are motivated the right way, good things happen. It is so hard to make that happen, though.
And it not be somebody not have an agenda.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. And I tell people all the time, obviously I watch Fox, some people watch MSNBC, some people watch CNN. It's like, come on, man, guys, can we not have an agenda based off of what our network says we're supposed to do, and really go, man, can we just get back down to where Jesus said? It's so simple, man. Love God and love your neighbor.
Yes.
I mean, it's not freaking rocket science, man. Come on, guys.
Do unto others as they do unto you. I mean, it's just so amazing.
Coach, what's the best way for people to connect with you right now?
And through the foundation, HughJackson.org. We're trying to really do some great things. We have a facility that we partner with the Salvation Army in Cleveland, where we house human trafficking victims. We're in definite need, because I don't want to lose that piece of our foundation, but financially it's an issue. And if anybody likes tequila, like I said, we're organic. 100% USDA is the best, and we're really growing our brand. It's Grand Leanda, and you go to grandleanda.com. And then Strangers to Changers. We're really trying to have people not be strangers with each other, really come together and become changers in your communities to make it better. Let's do something to make our communities better, and that's strangerstochangers.com.
No, your strangerstochangers.com. Is that something you guys are doing just locally there in Cleveland? Is that something people anywhere kind of across the country can say, hey?
Anywhere across the country. We've done a great job of taking videos from several people and posting them to our website, so people can really get a feel for what we're trying to accomplish. And they can go to my Instagram, Hugh Jackson 5. And see exactly what we've done with Stranger to Changers, or like I said, strangertochangers.com. And it's been phenomenal. It's been well received, and people are making a difference.
Good. I love it, Coach. Are you speaking? Are you doing any kind of public events? What does that look like now?
Yeah, and what it looks like for me, I've done a lot of podcasts. I'm on a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of things dealing with NFL football, college football. I want to go back and coach, Ken. I plan on going back and coach next year. I want to end this thing my way. And I truly believe that the good Lord is going to give me an opportunity to do that. And that's where I am. That's what I'm doing in the space. We partnered with the Black Hole, which is the Oakland Raiders, with our tequila. So I do a lot of things with them. It's been really good, really fun. So it's been an exciting time. I've learned a lot of different things, but Ken, I miss the grass and I miss leading men.
Miss the coaching. I get it, man.
I can't wait to get back.
Yeah, I get it, man. There's nothing like, it's funny because people ask me all the time, do you miss pastoring? And I said, that's what I do now. Except now my audience are people that may or may not ever set foot inside my church to listen to me on a Sunday. They'll come and I'll coach them online, or I coach business owners one-on-one across the country and in Europe now as well. And obviously I'm one of Grant's top licensees. So I'm with Grant and Jared and the guys in at 10X headquarters a lot. So yeah, it's the coaching part of it, man, is just being able to have that voice and watch a young man. Or I had a young guy on my call Wednesday night. He's a young African-American kid I've been mentoring for probably 10 years. He's one of the top welders in Atlanta now. And he texts me Wednesday. He goes, "Hey, Pastor Ken," he goes, "Man, I'm trying to figure out next stage for a business." I said, "Dude, hop on my coaching call tonight. There's about 30 people on there. Hop on there. Just be in the community." And I started sharing a little bit of his story. Now he's teaching at one of the tech schools in Atlanta. He's like their lead instructor at one of the tech schools in Atlanta. And dude, I'm sharing his story and I'm just sitting there. I'm like a sobbing mess, man. So I completely understand what you're talking about as far as coaching guys. So
you serve, and that's what I am so excited. Was so excited about being on this call because I've watched you serve a lot of people. And
I appreciate that, my friend.
That is the greatest gift of giving back, is being able to serve someone and help them become the best version of themselves.
I tell my real estate team all the time, listen, there's two lenses in business and two lenses nonprofit. I don't care where you're at. There's two lenses. You can look at individuals as adding value and building a relationship, or you can look at them as transactions. And if you'll look at people in the real estate business, I finished 7th out of 3,700 agents last year. One of the fastest growing real estate companies in Georgia, top half of 1%. And I did that spending zero ad spend, no ad spend on my real estate company. Zero. Wow. I built relationships and added value to people for 20 years. If you'll add value to people and build relationship with people, you'll make more money than you ever know what to do with.
Absolutely.
It's automatic.
They will run to you.
Yes. Which is why, and this is the first time you and I've had a conversation, which is why you had the people who reached out to you in those 2 or 3 days in the basement that you did, is because they understood the character and the nature of the guy that they were dealing with and knew that wasn't you. Right. So, Coach, dude, absolute pleasure to connect. Look forward to connecting in the future. Again, we've got I'm doing several live events around the country, dude. I'd love to talk and look at maybe having you come in and speak at one of those, dude. I'd absolutely be honored to have you come in.
Thank you, Ken. I really appreciate that.
Man, you're more than welcome. Strangerstochangers.com, guys. Coach Hugh Jackson. Coach, thank you for being a part, man. And dude, I'm in agreement, praying for a door and an opportunity to open up for you, and for whatever that coaching opportunity looks like for you in that next season, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Coach, thank you, man. Have a blessed day. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on our Grow Stack Drive podcast today. We will see you tomorrow again at noon Eastern time with our next guest. Coach, have a blessed day, my friend.
You too. Thank you.
See you, buddy.